Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Friday, TGIF. We made it through another week, and they are going fast, aren't they? It's amazing how fast this year is going so far. It can't go fast enough, right, for some of us? A couple things to do today. This is just maintenance and things I have to do. First of all, for that that one female mouse, the one that pops out little pups like crazy. I think she's missing her wheel because I only had 2 wheels and I got 3 tanks. So I got to make a wheel for her. You know, she misses it. They like their exercise. It's amazing, you know. They love to exercise. So I'm going to try and make a wheel down here today. And secondly, I remember I told you about the poor man's flea market last week, and it was freezing cold. I got a good story about that, so let's get to it. We got a good episode today. Let's get started with that wheel. To make this wheel, I'm looking around. I said I need something round, and I keep these containers. You have these these Royal Dansk butter cookies? Okay, they're okay. You got to get the real ones because they do make a knockoff type that are horrible, but you got to get the ones. The Royal Dansk. Anyway, I got this here. I figured this would make a nice little wheel. Now to find the middle of it, okay, what you do is you just put a couple pieces of tape so don't slip around. I put a little block of wood with a nail in it. We're going to balance this in the middle, and just move it around until we get it balanced, and then we'll make the hole in the middle. It don't have to be perfect. But you see what I mean? That's how you kind of find the middle. Okay, so once you balance it on the middle, you take a wooden mallet, okay? And you see a wooden mallet, and you just tap the top, and it puts a little ping. See that little dent there? You see that little ping? And that'll be the center of the thing. You'll see how that spins, and that's just on a nail. Now we just have to make a little frame, and this will be a nice little wheel. Okay, whenever we have a chance to use bearings, we love to use bearings. Now, my buddy Brian, he used to work in a place where they used to have to replace these little wheels because the wheels would get a little bit worn. You see there? But the bearings were fine, and they were high quality, expensive bearings, but they replaced the whole wheel. So he used to give me these by the bag full, and I made a little tool to pop out the bearing. And what you do, you see one side is, close. You see here how tight that is, and the other side here it's a little loose. So it comes out, you push it out from here. So let's pop these bearings out. I'll show you what they look like. Okay, you see how they popped right out of there now. Now this has a little step in there, a little recess that would hold the bearing, but these are nice because they have a flange. See that little flange on there? So if you drill a hole that's like this, you could just press these in and it'll sit on the flange, and then we could pass some 1/4-20 rod through the hole, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, here's where we're at. All scrap material. Punched a little hole in the middle there of that tin. Now you can see we dovetailed over here just to make it a little bit more secure. I've cut out the bearing holes here. You can see how this will fit right into the hole. Press right in. That's as far as it goes. One on each side. Small piece of all thread. We have a nylon locking nut on one side. The other side we'll use a dome nut here, a decorative nut, 2 fender washers. Let's get it together, see how it works. And here we go. It's all together now. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it'll spin. Let's see if Mama likes it. Now, when I put it in here, the first thing they do, the mice are so smart, they go around, they sniff it, they check the back, the front, they make sure it's not a trap or something, even though she's been born and bred in a store, but then all of a sudden, she's looking at it, she sees that it spins, and then lo and behold, it only took her about 5 minutes, and look, she figured it out, and she's loving it. She's having a blast on her little wheel. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. That's probably a kind of a goofy project to do, but anytime you're in the shop doing a shop project, it doesn't matter what it is, especially if it's a fun little project like that, and it's rewarding, it's all the better, right? Okay, so with that poor man's flea market, my midnight walks, I was walking, it was about 30-something degrees, very cold out, and I was about a half a mile from the house, and I see this thrown in the garbage. Now, I told you before, ever since I was a kid, I've always been enamored by lighting. The lighting sections in stores. When my parents would go to a store, I would disappear. They always knew where to find me. I'd be in the hardware section or the lighting section. I just love looking at all those hundreds of lights lit up. It was always warmer over there too, you know, because those lights back then, they didn't have LED, and they always threw off a little extra heat over there. But it was just, I used to look at all the different fixtures and lamps and globes, and I just loved it. And bulbs, you know, to this day I still do. So one thing, I was on my walk and I saw this. Now, this was thrown out in front of a really expensive house. This house is one of the more expensive houses in my town, and it was thrown out. It was placed on the curb, and it's a chandelier of some sort, you know. And you know, we've never had chandeliers that kind of fancy for mine, but I always liked them. I always said, man, they're cool. But I said, I want to hook this thing up. I'm going to put it in the attic as an extra light, you know. And one thing about lighting, you got to realize that when people buy it, especially a light like this, a ceiling light, it gets thrown into the, you know, wherever it is, it gets put up, and then it's left alone. So it's like new old stock. I mean, think about it. You know, it doesn't get abused. It doesn't get knocked around. It's hanging up. The one thing it gets is very dusty and dirty. Chandeliers are known for that, you know. It's a little dirty. These things, I don't know what happened. Now, I saw a chandelier a while back when I was walking. As a matter of fact, I took some of the beads off of the chandelier. Was broken at the time, but I took some of the beads. But you could buy the string beads on Amazon and replace them. But I'll tell you the truth, the beads I was never crazy about. So I'm going to remove the beads and just clean up the lamp and put some different bulbs in. Let's have some fun with this and see what we can get going from it. So let's take these beads off. These crystals, how they're held on here, as you can see, there's like a little nail that's bent around here. It looks like a, see, it's got like a nail head. It's turned around, and then there's a little clip here, and you can unclip this from here and take it off of, you know, each one of these you could remove and, you know, wash them. That's what they used to have to do, because these get, you know, full of dust and grime over the years. And so I gotta, you know, realize I don't really want the beads on there, so I'm going to just remove all of them. Now, one thing I was surprised to find out is usually these are pressed steel or tin or something and brass coated, but using a magnet here, this is all brass. So that's a nice feature, how to have an all brass chandelier. Now the wires, you can see, they hold these on there like a almost like a copper. You know, they're very soft, and they pull just out. And that makes it one of the more difficult ways to clean these, is when you have these beads and everything hanging off. They're very difficult to clean. In fact, they have companies that will clean chandeliers, or used to. I don't know if they still do. But again, these beads, they just make it more difficult to clean. So I'm going to make it a nice streamlined light, because I love that, the way it looks. Especially, it'll be more my style. Okay, this is all the crystals that came off of there. You could see here. Now, they look a little dull and dingy, but I found, like I said, these, and I cleaned them, washed them. You see how nice they come up. So you can always save these in case that's your thing, you know. But I have to tell you, I do like the look of this without the crystals now. You see, this is like would be more like an Ethan Allen style. And now we're just going to wipe it down, get off. First, we're going to vacuum it, get everything, all the dust and everything off. Then we're going to wipe it down. Then we're going to check the bulbs, because you can see here, there's the sockets. That's a E12 or candelabra socket. And we'll check everything and make sure it works. You can see it was probably, here's the cord that was out of here. It was just cut off, you know. It was probably hanging in the same spot for 30 years. And let's get to that. Let's wipe it down. Now, there's one thing you have to remember. Even though this is brass, you're going to wipe it down with a damp cloth and a mild detergent, because there's probably a shellac or a lacquer over it, so that it wouldn't tarnish, because otherwise this would be all tarnished. So you don't want to start with the abrasives. Even polish will get below the lacquer. So we're going to wipe this down and get all that grunge off. Okay, this is the initial cleanup, just a damp rag. Got all the dust, the grime, cleaned up all the glass. Looks nice, right? I mean, already. And now we're going to do the sockets. And what I like to do with the sockets, again, This one here I cleaned out. I use a piece of Scotch-Brite. Let me show you how I do it. Now, aluminum always tends to get a little bit of an oxidation in there. So I take a piece of this Scotch-Brite here, and I put it into the socket, and I turn it like this, and turn it. You can see what I'm doing here? Here we go. You see how it's turning in there? And you spin it, and by spinning it, what you're doing is you're getting all that oxidation. You see, it'll form to the actual socket body itself. Take it like this, and then I vacuum it out again to make sure there's no dust or anything in it. But that gets rid of all the oxidation, makes for a good contact when you put the bulb in. Okay, next up, we still got to do a little bit of cleaning because you could see here that, you know, there's a little bit of dirt. So what we're going to use is a Mcguire's cleaner wax. This is safe for clear coats, and we know that this does have a clear coat on it. So I'm going to go over this entire thing with Mcguire's, and then we'll do the wiring. Okay, it's all waxed and everything. Now the first thing we do is we do a quick electrical check. No shorts between the two wires, obviously, very good. And then we check it with each socket, and you can see it's we have continuity with the center with this one and the casing with this one all the way around. We're good to go. I'm hooking up a temporary cord, but you know what? It just takes a couple seconds to solder it. I'm going to solder it, tape it, put some heat shrink, and this way I know my temporary stuff usually lasts a while. Now the beauty of this is that you could pick whatever bulb you would like to go with this lamp. Now here we have an LED. This is only 4 watts, but it's a very bright bulb, and it is dimmable. Or you can go with the flame type. This is a clear flame, and this is the orange flame. And it all gives very different looks, especially when it's hanging up and you're at a distance. And let me show you. Okay, here we have the LEDs. These are using about 32 watts at full brightness. You can dim them down. I don't have the correct dimmer. This is an analog dimmer, but you can see the effect you get as you dim it down. You can dim it down to almost look. And they are LEDs, but you got to remember this is going to be hanging above your head. And that's what it looks like. It's a nice, pleasing light. It's bright. Again, it'll be up above your head. You can't really tell with the camera. Let me show you what the other bulbs look like. Okay, now here is the light with the flickering candles on there. You could see what it looks like. This, again, they don't throw off hardly any light, but they really do have an attractive appeal. They do look like a real candle. And if you were hanging that up there, that would just be for the looks. I wonder which one you guys prefer, because I like them both. You know, they both have different uses. Very interesting, huh? Here's something pretty cool. My little light bulb tester, but in it we have a neon bulb from Russia. And it was said they used to use these as indicator lights for some of their nuclear programs and stuff. See, that's neon. And pretty cool, huh? Good looking bulb. Okay, so in closing, I'll tell you one thing: you never know what you're going to find when you tune into this channel from day to day, right? Had a good time today. Enjoyed my time in the shop. Everything worked out good. And also Monday, remember Monday through Friday. Friday's the deadline. But you can start sending in your photos for the Key Caddy Challenge starting Monday. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know which bulb you prefer. Take care now. Bye-bye.